Oh my goodness. I think that this is getting set up. At least so right here it shows the little live, and then I'm still waiting for it to register over in YouTube that we're good to go there. And I think we are. So welcome everybody. Welcome back to episode 8 of Witch Please with, of course, your hostess with the mostest, Sunshine, the pink-haired psychic medium, high priestess, Reiki master, and you know what I was even thinking about last night as I laid in bed? Head mistress, right? Because I also have created this amazing unschool of witchcraft. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm a head mistress too. But today, of course, we're not here to talk about me today. We're actually here. I'm pretty excited about today's topic, and I'm hoping that some of our listeners are as well, because this one came to us as a suggestion. And we're going to talk a little bit today about karma, dharma, and, will it really harm you? That's kind of my little joking and playful topic. So let me pull these notes over, and I want to make sure that I can see, because we are live streaming this. Even though this is released as a podcast, I do show up live to record these on YouTube every single week. So you can always find me on YouTube or any of the podcast streaming platforms for any of the other episodes too. But if you want this live, find me on YouTube. It's Fridays around noon. Let's talk about it. First, as usual, what do I even mean when we talk about karma? What is karma is the first question. And I think most people are familiar with it and have some type of concept or understanding of what karma is. I don't think it's a term that most people are going to be unfamiliar with. But, from a definitions perspective, these are, kind of a Hindu or Buddhist term. And I looked up the definition, and the definition specifically is the sum of a person's actions in this and previous states of existence decide their fate in future existences, right? And so even one of the definitions said, some folks may consider this destiny or fate, right? As a individual that was raised in Catholicism, raised in Christianity, I sometimes equate this to, Catholics or Christians believe in some concept of karma, excuse me, because they believe in heaven or hell or even like purgatory, right? So they believe that there is something that, your actions now, excuse me, your actions now can impact what your future looks like, right? Even in the afterlife. So to speak, even in the afterlife, our karma. And so a lot of times people also, I think, will think of karma when it comes to like reincarnation and things of that nature, right? And if you were to go, and I didn't spend a whole bunch of time, but I did poke around on a couple of different, websites this morning. There are other religions or, excuse me, spiritual beliefs that have this concept tied into them. They just may refer to it as something different. They may reflect it in a different way, right? So like, it's this indication of what you do now can impact you later, right? So be careful of the consequences of your actions, which to me then gets us into what's that definition of dharma. Once again, Hindu and Buddhist term. And this one was interesting. And I spent some time really kind of like thinking about this one and talking with my guides a little bit this morning. So dharma, once again, that Hindu and Buddhist term, the nature of reality is regarded as a universal truth. So I can't remember if I've talked on this podcast before or not about the universal laws, right? But like the universal laws would be like an example of like dharma. There is this universal truth that exists. But of course, this is being introduced, as I said, Hindu and Buddhist kind of like spiritual path. They believe in this dharma, that there is this universal kind of truth, these universal things that folks should, in essence, kind of believe. And when I said that I talked to, kind of my guides about this, part of that conversation was like, how does this relate to dogma then? Right? So if we are prescribed to some kind of religious path, Catholicism, Muslim, Jewish, right? Whichever path, like, if there's like even Wicca, right? Wicca has like the threefold, like there is a dogma very often associated to it, which is this prescribed truth based upon that like religion, right? So it goes back to that it's not considered a universal, but based upon that religious belief, those religious practice, this dogma exists. And so I started to kind of see that they were pretty similar. The word dharma and dogma, they kind of like hang out in the same camps, right? Like if these two were actual individuals, like little kids, they'd both be going and hanging out at the same summer camp, right? They have that kind of like really closeness in common. And one of the notes that I wrote down is you can kind of think of dharma as this dogma applied, this dogma of Hindu or Buddhist type of practice, right? Like there is a universal truth. I hope that makes sense. So when you look at them together, right? When you look at karma and dharma together, how you interact with the dharma, right? How you interact with the dogma even is going to determine your karma. So I'm going to give you an example on this, okay? I'm going to give you an example. Christianity has the 10 commandments. These are part of the dogma of Christianity, right? These are the beliefs, right? Thou shalt not lie, right? Thou shalt not betray their mother or father. I don't remember all the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill, things of that nature. So let's go. We're going to go in that thou shalt not kill, right? This particular thou shalt not kill, depending upon your own beliefs, around this particular dharma, right? Or Christian dogma for this example. If you were to have an intruder in your home and they were attacking you and out of self-defense, you were to take their life, kill them, that would be going against that 10 commandment. That would equate that your karma would show and reflect that you have done something that was morally against that Christian universal truth, that Christian dogma, that dharma that they in essence kind of have stated. If you're not Christian though, and you don't have a dogma, this like prescribed universal truth, I guess, that in that belief, it wouldn't really impact your karma, right? Do you kind of get what I'm saying on this? I hope that this is making sense. Like, so karma in and of itself is relative to the belief system that would be impacting that karma. Now, there are some folks that are out there that might argue that there are actual dharma, there are universal truths. And I would say that I agree in the universal laws, right? But the universal truth of like, we'll go real controversial of like, this universal truth. Here's a perfect example. There's an article here in the state of Michigan, and the governor, I believe, just managed to pass a law against child marriage, right? Child marriage. Well, when you've got a life expectancies of 80, 90, 100 years that some folks, it's not uncommon to be experiencing, then yeah, why would you want to have some child married at the age of 14? But if we go back hundreds, thousands of years ago, it wasn't uncommon based upon what those cultural, like those beliefs were, right? To have a child at the age of, 13, 14 marrying, because it was part of that particular culture's belief at that time. Now, whether or not, you could look back on it now, we can cast judgment on it and say, no, should be a universal truth, but like, we really can't say. So is that really do universal truths in this capacity? How, and, do they actually exist, from a dharma perspective? So I really think it all depends on what it is that you believe. What do you put the belief in? Right? What do you put the belief in? so, and I put this note down. The biggest piece of all of this is that this belief system, in order for it to be true for you, you have to believe it. Cultures, religions, different belief systems can absolutely have different dharma or dogma. And people would argue that literally that dharma is a universal truth. No, you couldn't have, like, I mean, really, let's go back. Let's look at all times. Like, really, I mean, can we really state that there are actual solid, concrete, universal, like, truths outside of, like, maybe the universal laws, right? And the universal laws that are reflected in a number of different kind of like pieces of literature, historical literature and spiritual literature, beyond just even in the clear esoteric path. So, as always, let's just double check and see. I always love to see, like, kind of how long I've been chit-chatting and rambling. I don't know about you. If you guys ever want me to ramble longer, you have to let me know. But I'm hoping that these little, like, 15, 20 minutes sound bites are perfect. So why are we talking about this? And I should have posted, because the individual that wanted me to chat about this, I should have looked specifically and seen if there was a particular perspective. So I'm making a little bit of assumptions that this is part of why they'd want to know. But I believe the reason why this individual asked is, why is this relevant to the witch? Why does a witch care? Why do we as witches care about karma and dharma and all that kind of, like, lovely shit, right? And the number one reason that, kind of hit me as I was exploring this morning and taking some of the notes down is we embrace our need to do shadow work, to do this, like, deeply introspective work. Why do we do this shadow work, right? Because we often are trying to evolve our lives. We're trying to make it more beautiful, more happy, more filled with joy, more filled with peace, right? We want to be in these high vibrational states. We also often want to strengthen our own powers, right? We want to strengthen our psychic abilities. We want to strengthen our magical powers. We want to strengthen our healing, right? We want all of these things. And so when we're trying to evolve and strengthen all of these things, we may run into roadblocks. We may run into things of, like, resistance and places where we're, like, feeling like we just can't break through. And that requires us to, like, look within, to explore these shadows. And some of these shadows that we explore and uncover may be karma that exists from a past life, right? You may have had something that had happened in a past life that is still impacting you here today, still impacting you in this lifetime, right? And looking at those past lives can help you uncover more truths, more details, right? And I want to be very clear here. In this particular lifetime, you may say and kind of, like, balk even at me and be like, I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in that bullshit. This isn't relevant. This doesn't matter to me. And that's cool. That's cool, right? Absolutely perfect. The thing is, your soul has lived many lives. And every single time that you have incarnated, your soul has chosen what it wants to believe in that lifetime. And you, at some point in the past, may have believed in karma, may have had and prescribed to some certain dharma or dogma, right? So you might not believe it in this lifetime, but that shadow exists and still hangs on to you from those past lives. That doesn't go away just because you don't believe in it this lifetime, right? So looking into those past lives, exploring where these shadows exist, understanding what dogma maybe you did believe in, what dharma you prescribe to, can help you understand how you might need to heal those karmic wounds, right? So we're going to go back to that, can it harm you in the title, right? Karma, dharma, can it harm you? Now, I don't believe that this karma is going to, like, physically harm you per se. I don't believe that it's always going to mentally harm you, but you could look at it as spiritually harming you. Okay? Meaning the chances of you being able to create a really beautiful, amazing, spectacular life for yourself is going to be more challenging. It'll harm your ability to truly embrace your own psychic abilities, right? I have clients that I've worked with that were literally going into past lives and exploring why they've cut off those abilities. Look at my lipstick right there. There we go. It can harm your ability to like believe in your own magical like power, right? And so there's so many of us that are dealing with a karmic witch wound, right? Like where we literally shut down our own beliefs in our magical capabilities in past lives. And so we're like trying to wield all this amazing magical work now and running into like resistance or issues of like, why doesn't my magic work? Well, it's like, well, you see, in this past life, you basically said, oh my God, this is so horrible. I'm never going to do this again. I never want to experience this again, right? Like, or created some kind of contract or whatever, right? Or, you know, worst case, we're literally somebody that burned a witch at the stakes, right? You know, I mean, who knows? Who knows what might be there? But your actual spell work, ritual work might not be manifesting what or how you expect it to in this particular lifetime. You may be dealing with a witch wound from a past life. And then last, you know, it can harm your ability to embrace any of your healing gifts, right? So often, we have things within our past lives that are just like maybe even still bleeding in that like toxic unhealthiness. And so like you're struggling to like really heal that. And so your ability to go out, like in order for us to heal others, we have to have done the healing work on our own self first, right? So it can harm that. So in other words, I just want to wrap up that like karma can harm your vibrational state right now and limit how powerful of a witch that you show up to be. So if that's something that you're experiencing, you might be wondering, what the fuck can I do about that? Right? And so I want you to think about the vibrational frequency scale. You can do a search for it, emotional frequency scale, vibrational, you know, anything of that nature. And the way that you reverse karmic impact, right? And karma is literally just like notches, taking you notches down on that frequency scale, is by continuing to lift and do things that raise you up onto that vibrational frequency scale. So release that karmic debt, right? That is the one thing. Explore those past lives, right? Look at those things, whether you do it yourself through meditation, past life regressions, anything of that nature, or you work with somebody else. You know, I open up the records, I open up the Akashic records, I can explore past lives with you. When you do that, releasing those karmic wounds, right? Releasing those and then working on building up your own vibrational here today in this lifetime. That's how you get through that, right? That's how you do that. Number one way to raise your vibrational frequency, gratitude. That's the number one way. So if you don't have a practice of gratitude, I encourage you, regardless, to go ahead and start embracing and starting that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week. I know this has been a hot topic with a handful of folks that I've talked to. And I do believe in karma in certain ways, but I don't believe it in a way of like it's intended to punish you, right? I do believe that it's meant to help you continue to learn and stay on your own evolutionary path. So hope you enjoyed this. You got any questions, comments, anything of that nature? I hope you know how to reach out and find me. Until next week, my dear friends. Much love from me to all of you. Bye.